Okay, so we have the recording started. Good afternoon again, guys. Welcome to the concluding parts. If we're able to finish today on the SharePoint Online, we've had the facilitator Nyore walk us through from the beginning the basics and principles of SharePoint Online, sites creation, permissions, um, the settings and the sites level, and also subsites and everything. But today we are looking at an interactive session. And so we expect that we'll be going over some questions that may have not been answered in the course of the past few weeks on the SharePoint Online, and also some areas that may have not been touched that we may need more understanding. So I know we already passed our time, and I'll just quickly use the mic to Nyore so she can walk us through. Thank you.
Mm, Hello everyone. Welcome to today's session. Like we said, it's supposed to be an interactive session. So I expect that we would have some questions from all the sessions that we have had. Um so if anyone has any question, please ask. If we do.
Okay, thank you, Nyore. So even if there are no questions from anyone, it could be contributions, or if there are areas where you feel like you still need more information on, you could just bring it up. I know we've had some sessions, and there might be some things that probably that you may feel it's important. So, okay. So I think we have Joseph taking up first. So yes, you can go ahead, Joseph. Thank you.
Um, Thank you everyone for the opportunity to speak. I just want to bring back the question I asked on the group yesterday. I may not be able to explain exactly what the requirement is with that question, but Yuri, I'm just thinking, is it possible for you to have an internal user and then you restrict that user from having access to organization-wide files that are shared from OneDrive? You want to limit an internal user, and the user should still have OneDrive license. You should still have SharePoint license, but should not be able to access files that are shared organization-wide.
Okay. So the thing is, like you said, shared organization wide. Files that are shared organization wide. If I don't share a file with you, I don't expect you to have access to it. But if I share a file, on in SharePoint, we have a group called everyone except external users. If I share a file to everyone, or if I share a folder to everyone, or if I share a site to everyone except external users, it means that anybody in the organization would have access to it. But I can restrict a user from having access to a site or a document or a file if I want to share. So I'm just basically going to share with the specific people that I want them to have access to. In that situation, I don't share with everyone except external users. That group is a default group that was created for easy, should I say, easy sharing. So basically, if you want to share something with everyone in the organization, it's already a predefined or a pre-created group that you have on the site that you can just share with everyone. But if you need to share with just a specific group of people and you don't want a particular person to have access to it, you can also do that. The only way a user would have access to a content is if you have shared it with that particular user. um so I don't know if that answers what you're trying to clarify.
Okay, so is it possible by default that you exclude a particular internal user from having access to any shared file? Because I saw a document that has to do
Mhm.
with setting some permissions so that you create some security group and it is only those security people, the members in that security group, that will have access to organization-wide files, right? Like I think that document is about restricting users to OneDrive contents. That should be the title of that document. I'm trying to lay my hands on it because it was shared on the group yesterday as well.
Okay.
So maybe.
So there's a new policy on OneDrive that you can restrict. So basically, I don't know if I mentioned it some point during our class. OneDrive is basically a personal site that you can have access to your files or files that you want to store personally. But there's a new policy where you can put some users in a security group and only those users have access to create OneDrive files. So only those users basically have OneDrive. So you can create a security group and say, okay, I only want these users to be able to have OneDrive in the organization. But if it is a file that is in your organization-wide files that you mean, you can only say a file is an organization-wide file if it was shared with everybody. That's why you have permissions. If I create a file and I don't want everybody to have access to it, there's no way you are going to have access to it if I do not share the file with you. I cannot just create a file and say it's an organization-wide file. There has to be a permission that is guiding the access to that particular file or folder. So you can create security group and say, okay, I want only this security group to be able to share. So that means you have restrict sharing in the organization. So only those people that you specify in the security group will be able to share files, right? And then you can also restrict users from creating OneDrive files. So only those users in that security group are able to create files. But talking about sharing or accessing files, you have to share it with everybody. So even if you don't have access, even if you don't have a license or anything, but you have an email address, if I share a file with you, you should be able to access it.
Okay, so thank you, but I just want to make maybe one further query. Perhaps you can help me
Okay.
clarify that.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
regarding this security group, creation of
Mhm.
the security group, I understood that it was only possible if the tenant has E5 or A5 license, or for
Yes.
education A5 and yeah, only A5 and then Microsoft syntax or something. So does it mean that an organization that does not have these licenses cannot also create the security group and limit access to OneDrive files? Or maybe I will need to share this document so that you can maybe look at it from there and understand it better to explain to me. Thank you.
Yes, so like that article says, if you want to restrict, so you can, so for having that article you are talking about, I know the article you are talking about. It is
Okay.
talking about restricting OneDrive creation, right?
Mhm.
So it is a new feature, and when a new feature is created, they still keep working on it and making it better and all of that. But for now, you would see that it is only specific tenants with a specific license that has access to block those users from creating OneDrive. Um, OneDrive. So only people, basically saying that only people in that security group can create OneDrive. But before that feature was created, we have let me share my screen with you. Before that
Okay.
feature was created, we already have a feature that prevents users from creating OneDrive sites. So you don't have to have that license. That is just like a quick fix or a quick feature that you can use. But even if you don't have that license, you can still restrict users from creating OneDrive. So basically, what that feature does is to prevent users from having OneDrive. That is what the article is talking about. So if you put users in that security group, only the users in that security group will be able to create OneDrive sites. So let me share my screen and explain what you can do if you don't have that license that is indicated in that article that you have mentioned. So I'll just share my screen and show you. Let me know if you can see my screen, okay?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, so I will go into, I think it should be in, it's not settings. Okay, sorry, I need to go into SharePoint Admin Center.
More features, right?
Features. So you go to user profile, and then you should be able to limit. So from here, you can see that everyone, if you click on everyone except external users, you see the option that says create personal sites. And like I said, personal site is a OneDrive site. So if you don't want everyone in the organization to be able to have a OneDrive, you want check this and then save it. So new users that are added in the organization would not have OneDrive. In that situation, if you want users to have OneDrive, you can just create a normal security group and put them here. You select it and make sure you check the option to create personal sites, and you say okay. So for this in my organization, I want everyone except external users to be able to have OneDrive. I select this option and I say okay. So that is what that does. Let me check if my license has that option for the feature that we just talked about. And I think it should be in access control. I'm not sure I have that. Okay, so this is the feature that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Restrict OneDrive access, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you click on this, you add the security group, and then only those users in that security group would be able to have access. But if you don't have that license, there's no problem, because before this feature was even created, we already had something that catered for that. So yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for the clarification. Sorry, I'm not over asking questions. I just
No, no,
have
it's
just
No,
fine.
so I just have just one more clarification that I will need.
okay. The thing is, I have someone raising their hands, and I'm sure the hands must be pinning them already. But okay,
Uh,
I don't know if
No, he can
you want.
finish. Let him finish,
Okay,
then I'll come on.
all
Thank
right,
you.
great.
Okay, thank you. So just one more thing. What would be the
Mhm,
best practice if you want to have somebody external, like an independent contractor, to work within your organization?
mhm,
Usually, we would advise that you invite such a person as a guest, but I
yep,
don't know, for some reason, this user has to be created as an internal user, right?
mm,
So what would you advise in this case? Would you rather go for that user being invited as a guest to the organization, or if there are needs for us to create this user as an internal user, we know that we are limiting this user's access to OneDrive. What other thing can we do to make sure that this user does not have access whatsoever to any file in the organization, since we have
okay,
to create the user as an internal user?
okay. So creating the user as an internal user, fine. You have restricted the user's access to OneDrive from creating OneDrive files. And for example, if you have a SharePoint site that you have shared with everyone except external user, the fact that that user is in the organization, if they have the URL to the site, they will be able to access it. They might not even know that they have access to that site, but if for any reason they get the URL of the site, they'll be able to access it. And like I said at the beginning, if I share if I create a site, or if I create a folder, or I create a file and I don't share with that user, the user would not have permission to it. And it still goes back to saying access. If the user doesn't, if you don't share with that user, the user would not have access to it. So the only way to restrict the user from having access to those files is to not share it with them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All
Okay.
right, all right. Thank you. Sorry, Kunle, let me come in there. Joseph, thank you, Yuri. I just want to buttress on what Yuri has said. So, Joseph, something you need to first understand is I don't know whether you got it from what Yuri has been saying since. There's a difference between OneDrive and SharePoint. Now, if I to put it in the layman, maybe probably my documents. Consider my document, your document, or document, my own document as your OneDrive. So it is personal to you. When you talk about SharePoint, you can think of SharePoint like probably maybe if you've done anything like map drives before, where you have organization, departmental drives, and all of that. Consider SharePoint maybe document library as such. If that is, I'm trying to look for the best scenario to explain it. So when you talk of from the context of saying SharePoint, you're saying SharePoint is something you use organization wide. When you talk of OneDrive is personal to you, which means it is you, like my own, like my document. So if you have your document, except you give people access to probably maybe a folder or an item on that OneDrive, that's on that OneDrive, it is still yours, which means you have not shared it with it. It's as good as saying that is my document. So with OneDrive, you can give access per folder or you can give access per item in OneDrive. I stand to be corrected. I know Yuri is more of a, what they call it, subject matter expert here more than me, I would say. But when it comes to SharePoint, you have different kinds of permissions you can give it. You can give permissions on site level, which means just like what she has done before, you create a site, you give it permission. You can also give permission on SharePoint list, maybe list permission, just like what she showed last week, that she created a list and then she was saying maybe you upload, and she did, I mean, some form of permissions where even if I were to fill the list, I will not see what someone else has filled. I can only see what I filled myself. Then you can give on folder permission. So within SharePoint itself, you have what is called document library. So that's why I come back to that document library more like what is referred to as your map drive. In the days before SharePoint, where you do the traditional file folder permission, you create what is map drive for each department, where you say, oh, this group of, just like you're saying, your security group, this set of folder, and then you have folders inside all of these departments or units, they have access to that folder. So see that as like your document library. Now you can decide to say you give permission on the document library, the folders in it, or you can give as per item. So I can have probably maybe in a folder, I have like 10 documents. You can either give me, I can either give you access to the whole folder, or I just give you access to just one item in that folder. So going back to your question to say that, which is what, even when you posted it, I was finding it difficult to say how I'm going to answer, and I'm grateful that you brought it up on the call. It's for us to ask, who is sharing this folder? Is this sharing probably maybe for a OneDrive location, or you are sharing it from a document library part where it is on SharePoint? That's the first thing we need to understand from you. If we get that, then we can now say, okay, that even if it is a document library and the person is created as an internal user, you can actually deny access to specific, even for that person. And whatever permission that you give access, which is more restrictive, we take a more restrictive permission will take precedence over even if you give that person a full control or edit or view right on that folder. So in your own question that you're saying that maybe the person has access to organization folder, you have the option to say probably maybe you now want to remove everyone from that folder because it's part of everyone, or you do a restrictive deny access to that particular person that even though he's part of the organization, but he's not able to access. So it still boils down to the folder or the document organization file you're talking in question. Is it that my assumption is that it is built on SharePoint, but it's a document library. But because you kept saying OneDrive, that's the part that's, I mean, I was not able to answer you. That was what was kind of not clear, that if it is a OneDrive, you have access to it. It is your own personal. Whoever is given access to a OneDrive file or folder has the right to say, okay, even if I can go back and manage access and say on granularly, I can give that person maybe view or I remove him. But if it is a SharePoint document library, which I feel in your case, that's what you're referring to, then you can be more restrictive to say, if everyone does not have access, then you put maybe just security group, like she's saying. Even if that person is a part of security group, you can still be very restrictive to say that the person is giving a deny access to any of the folder or item in it. So if a document library have like 10 folders, you can say that he can see others, and then maybe one of the documents is not what he will see. He can even see the whole 10 folders, but maybe an item in one of the folder is what he will not see. So it's that kind of what you can put in place. So it's just for me to understand where really your question is. I don't know if that helps. I just said I should add to what Yuri has already said.
Yeah, it does. It does, actually. I will
Okay.
have to seek more clarification from this side as well. I'm sure what
Okay.
you've said so far is going to help, go a long way to help. Thank you.
Okay. All right then. All right, thanks. Sorry, Adekunle, please can go on.
Okay, thank you so much, Amde. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Joseph. And Nyore, thanks for putting the perspective as well. So let's just start, Frank. I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. You can go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, for me, with the assignment you gave.
Franca, your voice is a little bit low. I don't know if it's just me.
Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes,
Okay.
very much better now.
All right. Okay, I said, Yuri, the assignment you gave, I was stuck somewhere. Can I share my screen so I can show you where I was stuck? Yeah?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, the assignment was, you said, okay, create a list called employee data, employee dates. Yeah, it should have all this. Yeah.
Mhm.
And okay, I got stuck here, calculated column for first and last name. So new staff column. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so how do I go about doing the calculated column?
Okay, so like I mentioned the other day, click on add column.
Yeah.
Let me even see if I still have that formula. Add column.
Yeah.
Just scroll down and see all column types.
Okay.
Click on it, it should take you to another interface.
Okay, it's not see all columns. It's not clickable. Should I do next?
Yes. Say next. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, so you can search for calculated column and click on it.
Okay, calculated.
Yes. Then give it a name.
Okay, what does the calculated column do again? What is it supposed to do?
So like I mentioned the other day, so basically the calculated column is so you have created a first name column and a last name column. So we basically want to add the two columns together to give you the full name. So the calculated column we're basically creating is column for full name. So, and if you want to write your full name, you have to write your first name and your last name. So basically you're creating a calculated column to automatically just add the two columns together to give you the full name column.
Full name. Oh, okay. Okay, so what would the formula be?
So hold on, let me just send that to you. I'll add it on the chat. So if you scroll on that part that you have, you should see
first name and last name.
yes. Let me just I'll just add it on the chat. Yeah, you should click on first name.
Okay. Then last name.
You have to add a formula in between those two. I just added it on the chat, so it's like and 2 signs.
Okay. Okay, so this is the formula.
Yes. So you're adding, you're adding two names together. There are different types of formulas that you can use, depend on what you want the column to calculate. And like I said, you don't have to know the formula in your head. You always have the article that I added on the chat, and you can always go online to find formulas that you would like to use. So if you add that, yes, then you can say okay, and you should have the two columns. You can
okay. So single line, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just say okay. Have you named the column?
Yeah, I named it full name.
Okay, that's fine. So just say okay. And let's see if that works.
You must provide a name for this column, which I've done.
You haven't given it a name yet. Just scroll to the beginning of the.
Okay.
Yeah,
so the full name should come here too.
Yeah.
Okay, the other one is the description.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, something went wrong. Content syntax error. But it's not. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll just copy it. Hello.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Just create the column, full name, last name.
It came with a different. Is it still? Yes.
Okay. Let me try to. Maybe I should just try to do it from my end so that you see. Okay, so it has to, let me just paste this. So you can just copy this and paste it on yours. It has to be equal to first name, last name.
Okay, but when I did create a column, it came with this. It came with this option, but it's not giving me that calculated. It's not giving me the option to search for more.
Okay. Can you cancel this? Just click on cancel.
Okay.
Add column.
Yeah.
Scroll down like we did.
Okay. See all.
See all column types and say next. Then calculated column.
Okay.
Give it a name.
Yeah.
Then go to the calculated, go to the formula part and say equal to, then select the first name. Select the first name. Then add the formula in the middle and then add the last name.
Okay, there shouldn't be any space in between, yeah?
No, just the formula and then select the last name. And say okay.
Okay. So they're giving me that error. Technical. The formula contains a syntax error. Is not supported. It's complaining about the formula.
Hold on.
Okay, maybe we'll check the formula later. Yeah.
Yeah, we can check that later, and I'll share my screen so that we'll see what's happening with yours.
Okay. Okay, you want to share your screen now, yeah?
Yeah, let me just share my screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, let's say, what column do I even have this on? So I say calculated column. Say quotes. So I have done that again and it worked. So I'm sure you're missing something. Okay, so this is the new column I created, and you can see that I calculated the columns for me the same way it did here. So maybe you can try to create that.
I haven't populated my table. Would that be the problem?
Not really. You have to, you can just, so the table, you're creating the columns so that when you populate the tables, it automatically just fills the names for you. So,
okay, I'll check and see why.
You know what? Just share your screen again. Let's do like a minute and see what's happening.
Okay.
Just refresh the page and okay, so add a column, scroll down and see
okay, should I refresh the page again before?
It's fine, just say next. So select calculated column.
Okay. Full name.
Equal to sign.
First name.
First name. Click on add to formula. Then
okay, I double clicked it, so yeah.
Yes, so okay. The formula in the middle.
And click on this.
Click on last name, add to formula.
I should click on add to formula again. Yeah, yes. I double click to add it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then say okay.
Still the same. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'll check and see why.
Okay, so instead of double clicking, I think you should just do add to formula and see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So do that and let me know. Let's see.
Okay.
You know what? Go to create another
or could it be the way I?
Yeah, it might be the
way I created the
columns that you're trying to add.
The first name and the last name. Okay, add to formula.
Yeah. You didn't put the equal sign.
Yeah. And add to formula. Well, when I say add to formula, it just gives me a color tag.
No, you have to click on what you're adding to formula. So put the equal sign, click on the
okay.
Have you put the equal to sign?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah.
So copy the formula.
Okay.
Did you add to formula or you double clicked?
Yeah, I did add to formula. Yes.
Okay. So say okay.
Okay, and the data type returned from this formula is single line text. Yeah. Okay. You must provide a name. Yeah, let's just go on. I think it's the same problem.
Yeah, so I think you should try to create another list or create another column. Make sure the first name and the last name that you're trying to use are single line of text column, and then try to create the formula again and let me know on the chat.
Okay. All right.
Yes, so let's sorry guys.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any other question? Okay, if we don't, I'll just go ahead to share my screen. Okay,
Okay, just before you go ahead, I think we have someone who's there.
Okay, should we go ahead first before the question?
Let's see. I think the person dropped their hands already. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just take us through one feature that we have in the SharePoint Admin Center, and we'll see how we'll move from there. Okay, so today I wanted to talk to us about theme store and content type gallery. So this is the admin center, the SharePoint Admin Center, and I'm sure we've talked about all of this with the first person that took us on SharePoint, introduction to SharePoint. So I'll just talk to us about theme store, and okay, after that we'll know if we would continue. So basically, theme store, I'll just explain how I think we might be able to understand it. I would say theme store is for creating tags. So for example, I talked to us about choice column. I want to create a choice column that has let's say 3 choices, that has let's say it has finance, HR, and it has what other departments? Let's say IT. And I want to use it across all my sites. Instead of me going to one site and creating a choice column for all my lists and all my document libraries, and then going into another site and then doing the same thing, I can just create a theme in the theme store and use it as a tag across all of my documents, libraries and lists and all of that. So let's just create so I'll add a theme group, and I would say M365 series. And I'll say enter. Added M365 series successfully. So in a theme group, I can add a theme set. So I can say SharePoint. Because we're talking about SharePoint. And I can also create another theme set that says OneDrive. So under this theme group, I have created 2 theme sets, OneDrive and SharePoint. And inside SharePoint group term set, I can now add a term. So let me add a term, and let's just see what are the things that we have talked about. We have talked about permissions. I can even create another term inside permission, right? I can add a term inside permission, but I'm adding terms in SharePoint, so I will just say add term. What else did we talk about? We talked about site contents. Add another one. We talked about document libraries. Talked about lists. We talked about columns and all of that. But let me end here. So I've created an M365 term group. I've created a group, and I've created a SharePoint. I've created a SharePoint term set, and I've created terms under SharePoint, right? So let's see how this reflects in SharePoint sites, for example. So the site that we have created is this. Let's just use the same. Let's use the same list, okay? So let's say I'm adding a column. So I would have to say it is I'll have to say it is a metadata column. So term sets. So I'm supposed to be able to find the term that we have created, and we named it SharePoint, right? Okay, so you see, you can go into any site and search for the term that you have created in your term set or in your term store, sorry, and then you can apply it into any site, any document library or any list as a tag. So I would have to select SharePoint, and I would say okay. Okay, so if I come here, let me try to add. Let me try to create new terms. So under the SharePoint tag that we created, remember we created all of these terms in it. So I can select any one of these and apply, and I save. So basically, you can see it here. That's an easy way to create tags. So you can create tags for your document libraries, for documents. You can create tags for lists, and you can create tags. So basically, you're creating tags for columns to be able to tag your documents or to be able to tag contents of your list and all of that. And you can use this across all of your sites, across all your document libraries and lists. Basically, you don't have to come to create a choice column in every list or in every site and then define the terms that you want to use in it. The term set helps us create tags to be able to tag items or contents in your SharePoint site. So I will quickly talk about the next one, which is content types. So I'll go back here. Okay, so this was the one I created. Okay, so while we were here, I told us that you can add templates. You can add templates to your sites by going here, clicking on templates, and then adding any templates that you want users to use. So the content type does something similar to that. So if I come to my document library here and I want to use a term set, sorry, I want to use a content type to create. So basically I want to create content type for my document library so that when users come here to create content, they can select the content type I already created and use it to form content or create content in the document library, right? So I can come here to library settings, more library settings. Before I can use a term, a content type, I have to allow content type in my document library. By default, when you create a site, allow management of content types is always set to no. So you have to set it to yes to be able to use it. If you don't set it to yes, you can't select content types. Let's come back here and see. So you can see what we have here. You don't have anything that says add content type. So if I come back to advanced settings here and I say allow management of content type, I set it to yes and I say okay. You can see that we now have this option that says add from existing sites content types or change this. This was not here until we have added that. So let's go ahead to create a content type and you see how it reflects in your sites. There are different content types that you can create, different types that you can create, right? You can create documents, content types, folder content types, a lot of them. So let's say M365 content type. Use an existing category. There are already pre-existing categories that are created, right? These are the categories. You can create a new category as well, but for here we're going to use an existing category. So if I click on the drop down, I can say, okay, I want to create a document content type. So I'll just say document content type. Parent content type, I want to leave it as a document content type. Content type, what contents do I want to use? Documents as well. And I will say create. So I have created the content type. And then you have to come to settings. You have to say advanced settings. And you have to, so if you say use an existing content type, you would enter the URL of the document content type. But for this, I want to upload a new content type. And I will say upload. So I'll just choose, let me choose this and say okay. So I have uploaded my content type and then I want users to be able to edit it. If I say I don't want them to edit it, I can just say read, but I want them to be able to edit it. Update all sites, list content type, inheriting from this content type with the settings on this page. It is checked. So basically, all sites will have access to this content type when you want to use it. And you can say save. So basically, instead of on each site that you want to use that content type, going to templates to create switches. So you can go into your content type and then add the content type that you want to use. So we have created the content type and then we come here to add it to the site. So if we go back to library settings, more library settings, we would now go ahead to say add from existing site content types. So the content type we created was M365 series content type. So it has to be it's not here. Okay, I think we didn't publish it, so we'll have to publish it into make this content type available for download to all site collection in the organization. So I have to publish it before it will even appear in that site. So now that we have published it, we should be able to see it in the site that we want to use it for. So I'll just refresh this. And let's see. Okay, so you can see that it is here now. And then I can add it to the document library and I can say okay. So if we come back here, we should be able to see. So this is the content type that we have added. Since it is editable, I should be able to edit it here. So basically, so those are the quick ways to explain that to you. So like I said, you can create different content types. You can create business intelligence content type like an Excel. You can just put the document that you want to use. You can create a folder content type. So in that folder, you can have documents in the folder, in which when you add it to the site, when you click on that folder, the documents in the folder will be there, and then you can access them how you want that to be. So I think that's that. And then I'll quickly run through this. Migration, like it says, is basically moving content from a source to a destination. So you're basically moving content from a particular place to another place. So this part just tells you the different places that you can migrate from file share, from Box, from Stream, from Google Workplace, from Dropbox, from Ignite. So for example, file share, if I want to migrate files from my file share, single source to destination, I'll just say next. And then I have to put the source where I'm migrating from, and they've given you the format that you can use for migrating content. So from my file share is basically from my computer, so I can just go ahead to copy the parts. I have to say properties, copy the parts of this, I guess. So just say this. So you say next. So you can either migrate into OneDrive, you can migrate to SharePoint. Migrating to Teams is like migrating to SharePoint because content in your Teams are stored in your SharePoint. So I can say SharePoint and I will say next. I will copy the URL of the site where I want to migrate to. And paste it here. And say next. So give the task a name, migration M365 series. I can say run now, run later. You can say perform scan. So it's basically going to scan and tell you if you have errors, why you're having those errors. Preserve file permissions. Migrate files created after. So these different settings, and then you can say run. So it's basically going to run the migration and then move the contents into the site that you have said you should move it to. If it fails, it's going to tell you that it failed, and you can download the failure report, and it will give you an Excel sheet that tells you why the migration has failed, and then you'll be able to fix the migration. So this is reports, like it says. It's basically just giving you a report of activities that are on your site, the activities that were done on a particular date, created, deleted, and all of that. You can generate the report, it will export it into an Excel, and then you can go through it. Data access governance is basically also a reporting tool. Sharing link, you can view reports, identify potential oversharing by monitoring sites where users created new sharing links in SharePoint. So this is basically reports as well. This advanced is for developers where you have codes and contents and API accesses so that you have attached or you want to add to your site. So I think that's just the rundown of what I have for us today. I know that we have spent more than the time that we should, so I would hand over the mic back to Adekunle if we have further questions here.
All right. Thank you so much, Nyore. Thank you so much from the beginning of the session to this moment. Yes, you can clap. Let's give our flowers, as the case may be. Thank you so much for that, Nyore. Thanks for walking us through SharePoint Online, from the beginning till the end. And at least I can say for most of us, or if not everyone on this call, we now have this broad understanding of what the SharePoint Online means, and then the concepts that it's that's in it. So I think Franca has something to say. Yeah, you can go ahead, Franca.
Yes, thank you, Yuri. Yeah, how do I get to the SharePoint admin center?
Okay, so if you go to, let me just do this. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so just say office.com as the case may be, and then click on the app launcher. You click on admin. You click on admin and you should see your admin centers. If SharePoint is not showing here, just click on show all, and then you should see the SharePoint. So it should be under admin center. So you click on SharePoint and it takes you to the SharePoint admin center. This is the SharePoint admin center. I hope you got that.
Okay, I'll try. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks again. All right. So we have a question, I think, from Abiodun. So you can go ahead, Abiodun.
Yes, thank you. I hope I am audible enough.
Loud and clear from here.
Okay. I don't really have a question, but I just want to do a kind of brief introduction of myself. This is my first time of joining. Though I tried to join like the very first time this session wanted to start, but I was having a bad connection that day. So since then, I haven't been disposed enough to join. But I'm glad that I'm able to join today. But the thing is, I'm kind of lost. Though I really enjoyed the session, but you guys have been through a lot. I don't know if I can get a kind of refreshment of what you have done, and if I can get the platform, like the access to the SharePoint admin center, so that I can do a practice of what you have done, so as to be on the same page with you guys.
Okay, well, it's glad to have you here, Abiodun. I know you're okay. You have something to say, so you can go ahead. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say welcome. I'm sure it's the same thing you might say. I'm sure we have recording of the of the classes that we have done, right? That she can go.
Yes. So Nyore, sorry to cut you. I already pasted that on the chat window. I think Opeyemi was the first person to say she's new here. So if you can go through the chat window, Abiodun, you will see all of the messages I put in for Opeyemi. You can actually check all of our recordings there. And then
WhatsApp?
again, no. On the chat window of this, can you see the chat window?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so you can see all of the recordings are there. And then you can also follow us on the LinkedIn group where you can be notified of every of our activities. But from the YouTube recordings I shared with you, you get all of the past recordings when we started. You can start all from the beginning to till dates, so you can see all of that.
So where will I get it?
Is in the chat window, so you can see. If you look at the response I gave to Opeyemi.
It's just saying only the for today. I'm not seeing any previous
No.
chat.
Yes, the chat for today. So I put in the link for all of the past recordings there on YouTube. Can you see it?
No, I'm not.
For Opeyemi, I said start by going through all of our past recordings here. Did you see that chat?
No.
Okay.
No.
Let me just share my meeting. So you see, once you click on chats, if you go back to the Teams meeting and you click on the chat option
That's
there.
This chat.
Yeah, so you see it's in the chat box already. Start by going through. So this is the YouTube channel that has all recordings from the past sessions, what MJ has just mentioned. Also the LinkedIn page is there. And then, okay, I see Franca also just dropped it as well. So you can just access by any of the site. And also there's a WhatsApp group for the community. You can easily be invited to the group by that link. I hope you can see it now, Abiodun.
Let's see. Okay.
The icon for the chat is the one that is on the line. If you look at his screen on what is shared, yes, there's mousing around it. But I think to make it easier for you, maybe you can join the WhatsApp group and then we can repost the link there also, which will be easier for you.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe because I'm using my phone. I'm not
Oh, okay. If you're using your phone, you will have like 3 ellipses on your phone, like 3 dots. Those 3 ellipses, click on it, you will see chats.
The chat I did, but it's not. The chat bot is not updated.
Okay.
I'm just
no problem.
Conversation and just what's in your reposted, the first underscore name and the likes. Just that.
Okay, no problem. It may be just the link, but if you want to join the WhatsApp group, join. I think there is a WhatsApp group. If you can join that, we'll repost all of these. Yes, we'll repost the links on the WhatsApp group, and you can check it there.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. And then how can I get like the SharePoint platform to work with? Do I have to get a license or what?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So for the SharePoint, if you go through the videos, you would see at first, there's a video you will see how to create developer's account. So you just need to create the developer's account. You will have 25 license, and with those license, the subscription you'll be getting will come with 25 license. That's the developer's account. Then you can actually do all of the thing that we've been talking about. Like everything, you can do it with the developer's account, from Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, all of that. You can actually use the developer's account to practice.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think another person have a question.
Yeah.
Olawale, yeah, you can ask your question.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, before I ask my question, I wanted to ask, is that on the YouTube page, how to create a developer's account? Is on the YouTube page?
Yes, we recorded all of that.
Is it the
So
first
once
video?
you're
Because I'm
on,
on the YouTube page now and I can't see that.
so the first video for this series started January, if I'm correct. So just check between January ending of beginning of February, you would see the first video that has to do with introduction to cloud computing. So I think after that video, the next one, or it should be at the probably at the end of that first video or the next. But it's in one of the videos we explained all of that.
Okay. Okay.
Or just
Thank you
take your
very much.
time to go through the first 3 videos. You should find it in one of it. So I know
On the
what was,
channel, right? On the YouTube channel, M365 Study Series.
yeah,
Yes.
just start from the first video for 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and
So
I
and
also wanted to. Sorry. Okay, continue. Sorry for cutting you short.
no, it's fine. I just wanted to say if you start with the first video for 2023, it should be talking about the session should be about cloud computing, and after that one, the next one is the interactive section. So I know one of them you would probably see us talking about the developer's account.
All right. There are 15 videos here, right? I think I'm on the right place. Yes.
Yeah, so the most recent is what is on top. The most recent is what is on top. So you have to go
Yeah.
down, start from below. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And I think the last video hasn't been uploaded, I believe, because the most
Is
recent is
yeah,
2 weeks
it's
ago.
ongoing. It's ongoing.
Okay.
The uploading is ongoing. The internet has been very terrible. So, but it's ongoing.
Okay. Thank you so much. I would watch
Yeah.
all the video. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. I think someone else
So I
has a
think,
question.
yes, someone else, Ario.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. So my question is about getting the developer account. If one gets that developer account with 25 user licenses, how long does it last? For how many months or how long?
So from my there are two things involved when you're using the developer's account that you should understand is if you create it, you will get 3 months. And when you
Okay.
have that 3 months, once it gets to the end of that 3 months, they will extend it. But now, what you need to understand is if after creating it, you probably maybe created like an email that is not like an, or you probably created a user account and you're just signing in from the user, not the admin center, right? Just the normal user, and you feel you're using it. They don't count it as you using it. So why I'm saying this is if you don't log into that admin center for 60 days, they would the provision Microsoft is going to take off all your license and you will just have like a blank portal, and probably after a few months, I think that should be like 1 month, you should be able to recover whatsoever you have in there, but you would have to pay at that time if you need to use that particular tenant. But if you
Okay.
want to keep using it, just make sure you're working, you're always signing into the admin center to do something. So if you're always signing into the admin center, you can use it for 2 years. I have one that I've been using to train, and I've been using it for like 3 years now, right? So if you're active, you would always have it, but immediately you stay for that 60 days and you're not doing anything, you would lose everything.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Olawale, you still have a question?
Oh, I think that's a mistake. I already asked my question. I'll put my hand down now.
Okay. Okay. So is there any other question from anybody? Yeah, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So if we don't have any other question, I would, okay. Emmanuel, you want to say something? Okay, that's fine. Oh,
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Nyore, for the past few weeks you've been taking your time. I just want to appreciate you and thank everybody for joining the call. Thank you, MG, for the sessions. Yeah. So next week we'll be jumping into introduction to OneDrive. So continuation from SharePoint. Actually, we have another SharePoint OneDrive SME that will be on board for that. So we'd like to have everybody on board for next week. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Also, thank you, MJ. Thank you, Nore, and everyone, right, that have been following this series.